Jason Stevens, grandson of billionaire Howard "Red" Stevens, loses his grandfather to old age. At the funeral, he remains calm without sorrow. Red, though wealthy and charitable, failed to raise his heirs well. After the funeral, Jason's family argues about the inheritance, even rejecting what their grandfather has given them, and eventually leaves the room. Only Jason does not argue about the inheritance. However, as Jason is about to leave, he is called by a lawyer named Theophilus Hamilton, who shows him a video as his grandfather's will. At first, he is not interested in listening, but when his grandfather mentions giving him the ultimate gift, he starts listening carefully. However, to receive this gift, it is not easy. Jason must go through a series of tests, and he will be monitored by Hamilton during the process. If he succeeds, he will get the ultimate gift. The first test he must face is working. Jason, who has never worked a day in his life, is confused. He starts telling his girlfriend Caitlin everything that happened yesterday and asks for her opinion on whether he should accept the challenge or not. But according to Caitlin, a man his age should indeed work. The next morning, Jason, who still has many questions in his mind, begins his journey to Hudson. Used to flying in business class, this time he experiences discomfort and grumbles in economy class. Upon arriving in Hudson, he is warmly welcomed by an old farmer and Red's close friend named Gus. Jason, who is always eager, immediately asks about the ultimate gift, while Gus only responds with laughter. As morning approaches, Jason, who is not used to waking up early, is still sleeping in his bed. Gus, who is ready to give him the test, takes him to a vast field. Annoyed, Jason is taken to the field to build a wooden fence. Gus offers him $1 for each fence, and for Jason, that amount seems too small. Instead of completing his task, he falls asleep on the wood. For days, Jason, who always fails to make the fence, can only eat and sleep until he feels bored. Because he is tired of the same routine, he finally begins to move his body to work on the task of putting up the wooden fence as requested by Gus. Day by day, he completes the task, and surprisingly, Jason, a lazy and spoiled person, manages to finish it. Jason passes the first test. Gus, feeling that his task is done, finally takes Jason back home. Before leaving, Jason asks about the gift that he should have received by now. Gus only laughs again and does not answer Jason's question. Frustrated because he feels deceived, Jason immediately searches for Hamilton and asks where the gift is. Hamilton, who tries to do his job well, replies that the first gift he received from his late grandfather is work. The mansion, car, furniture, and all the facilities he used to enjoy have been taken away, and he can no longer enjoy them. The withdrawal of these facilities is part of Red's plan, who believes that life becomes more meaningful when we have nothing. And the next test Jason must face is finding a true friend. However, naive Jason quickly seeks out Caitlin. They have been dating for a long time, so he hopes she will meet the criteria for a true friend to help him pass the test quickly. Jason invites Caitlin to a fancy restaurant, and when it's time to pay, he freezes as the waiter informs him that his charge card is currently frozen. Embarrassed, Jason begs Caitlin to cover the bill first. Feeling deceived, she walks away in tears. Rumors of Jason's bankruptcy have spread, causing his friends to distance themselves and refuse his requests for financial help. Without a place to stay, Jason goes to his mother's house. Even so, she refuses because Hamilton has warned her, and she fears losing the provided facilities. Now, with nothing left, he can only sleep on a park bench and even competes for space with homeless people. They try to make a fair decision by flipping a coin, but when they reach into their pockets, neither of them has any coins. A little girl came and lent her coin, but the homeless person took it instead. Jason begins to lament his fate, feeling like he is always being tricked. At his lowest point, he can only watch Caitlin, who is now dating another man. Jason, heartbroken, feels sadder, realizing he has no true friend. The next morning, Jason wakes to a child and mother harassed by a homeless person. Jason helps by threatening and warning the homeless person. Jason finally gets acquainted with Emily and Alexia Drummond and explains that he is in need of a true friend. Emily, wanting to repay Jason's kindness, agrees to become his true friend. After agreeing to this, Jason then invites Emily to meet Hamilton. Hamilton suspects that Emily is working with Jason. Nevertheless, Emily responds cleverly, and Hamilton starts to trust the sincerity of their friendship. After proving Jason passed the test, he leaves Emily without caring about her feelings. After passing the second test, Jason receives his paycheck of $1,600, which disappoints him. The paycheck advises him to help others, and he decides to give $100 to the homeless man he once argued with over a park bench. Jason calls out to him while shouting. Feeling threatened, the homeless person runs away in a hurry. It turns out he is afraid of being caught trying to steal Alexia's bag. Jason, curious, starts to check the bag and finds a letter from the hospital. He is shocked to discover that Emily is fighting a serious illness. Jason, worried, visits Emily at the hospital and also wants to return Alexia's bag. Jason is surprised to learn Emily always wears a wig, then leaves to avoid embarrassing her. After learning that Emily needs funds for her treatment, Jason decides to give all his salary to her. Without realizing it, he truly finds a real friend. The next day, Jason goes to meet Emily, who is at the church. Emily feels that there is nothing left to hide from Jason. She starts to open up and share her wishes. Emily doesn't want to see her mother feel lonely on Thanksgiving Day. As a result, she asks Jason to be willing to accompany her in celebrating Thanksgiving. Jason accepts Emily's request. Jason and Alexia arrive at Jason's family house. During the meal, Jason's family constantly argues about inheritance, which disgusts Jason. Unable to tolerate his family's behavior, Jason walks away, feeling upset and embarrassed in front of Alexia. One test after another, Jason goes through. Now, his grandfather asks him to go to Ecuador for his third test. By going there, his grandfather hopes Jason can understand the meaning of meeting his true friend, Emily, and be apart from her for a while. Before leaving, Jason makes time to say goodbye to Emily. Emily, who wants to spend her remaining time with loved ones, feels upset because Christmas is approaching, and she doesn't want to spend Christmas without Jason. Emily warns Jason to return before Christmas celebrations begin. The next day, Jason arrives in a very remote village. There, he is greeted by two people who work at a library founded by his grandfather. While checking the area, a man approaches Jason and tells him the story of his father while taking him to the site of his father's accident. It turns out that his father had run away from home due to stress from the family business. While on the road, fate struck. He had a plane accident that took his life. From this, Jason realizes that he had misunderstood his father all this time. Before he can finish grieving deeply, a group of people arrives, threatening and kidnapping them. The kidnappers believe that abducting a rich American could bring them a big profit. Jason and his partner are trapped and then locked in a small cage for days. One morning, Jason and the other prisoners are taken out of the cage. They are afraid of being shot. At the same time, the kidnappers wish them a Merry Christmas while drinking beer. Because the kidnappers are heavily drunk, they fail to lock the door properly. This allows Jason and his partner to escape. From this experience, Jason realizes that freedom is a very valuable blessing. After a long absence, Jason finally returns home. This time, he is welcomed by Alexia, who has been worried about him. After reuniting with Alexia, Jason starts visiting Emily at the hospital. Emily, upset because Jason did not keep his promise, asks him to accompany her horseback riding. Jason, not wanting to break his promise again, contacts Gus to prepare the house with a Christmas atmosphere. The three of them then head to Hudson. Upon arrival, they are amazed by Gus's house design and enjoy an afternoon of horseback riding. Actually, Emily is afraid of horses, but she wants to overcome her fear and spend her remaining time with loved ones. In the evening, Jason watches his grandfather's will recording as his final test. His grandfather hopes Jason will pursue his own dream. Jason, who has never had a dream, asks Emily about her dream. Emily answers that she wants to spend time with the people she loves and who love her. Emily's statement makes Jason realize something. He then tells Hamilton that his dream is to help others achieve their dreams. Hamilton unhesitatingly gifts Jason a check for $100 million. Jason becomes wealthy overnight. Hamilton and his staff applaud because Jason successfully completed all the tests given by Red. Jason's life returns to normal, and all his privileges are restored. Caitlin, who once rejected him, now hopes to rekindle their relationship, but it's pointless because Jason loves Alexia, a woman who genuinely loves him. His newfound wealth doesn't make him return to his old ways. Instead, Jason uses it to establish the Emily Foundation, dedicated to helping people fighting diseases. Suddenly, Alexia receives a phone call informing her that Emily has passed away in the hospital. Jason and Alexia deeply regret not being by Emily's side in her final moments. Sometime after Emily's passing, the Emily Foundation is officially launched. Even though Emily is no longer with them, her love remains eternal. After overcoming grief, Jason receives Red's ultimate inheritance, becoming the sole heir to Red's entire company, worth $20 billion. Yet the inheritance doesn't consume Jason, as he realizes he has already gained priceless treasures that money can't buy: true friendship and true love. The story concludes.